so far?
I would say it's a great experience, and it's indeed a pleasure to be here in India for both G20 trade ministers meeting, which was a successful meeting, and I would say taking place in an upbeat spirit, also on a background of India's great success of moon landing. And I'm using this occasion also to deepen bilateral engagement between EU and India. So we'll be discussing progress in our free trade agreement negotiations, investment protection agreement negotiations, and in other areas of cooperation.
So, sir, you referred to FTA. So, can you tell me what are the sticky points? Where is this negotiation at the moment, and how long it will take for FTA to reach an agreement?
Well, negotiations are proceeding at a good pace. We already had 5 rounds of negotiations. We recently exchanged the first market access offers to each other. There are obviously still lots of ground to be covered, also on the scope of agreement. So on the EU side, we are typically working on what we call deep and comprehensive free trade agreements, covering a broad range of areas, including, for example, sustainability, ensuring that our trade does not lead to environmental degradation or reduction of labor standards or other negative externalities. So there are still many areas we need to cover. There is also discussions will be needed on exact scope of the agreement, and so therefore we are not setting now a specific deadline. As we said in the EU, it's substance over deadline. So we need to get substance right to be able to conclude, but there is willingness from both sides to work intensively to do it without undue delay.
And sir, on Ukraine, is EU seeking any kind of support from India, from any kind of stand from India at present, because we know India has been neutral for a while. So is there any kind of talk with India about how are they going to respond to Ukraine and Russia situation?
As you know, in the EU and I would say in a broader Western democratic world, we have responded very forcefully, putting pressure on aggressor Russia by sanctions, also providing necessary support to Ukraine. We are aware that many countries have not joined those sanctions, including large countries like China, like India. We are obviously raising those topics also in our discussions, also in the context of sanctions circumvention, because we believe, especially in case of democratic countries, it's important that we work together and preserve the international rules-based order.
Sir, on Chandrayaan moon landing, you also referred to it. So can we expect any kind of cooperation between two European Space Agency and ISRO? Can we expect any kind of cooperation in future?
I think this is something which we can also take up as a topic in our Trade and Technology Council. We have recently established Trade and Technology Council between EU and India. We have so far only 2 Trade and Technology Councils, one with United States, one with India. So I think it's indication itself that we attach lots of attention for cooperation with India in area of technologies, and indeed that can cover also space technologies.
So one last question. There has been geopolitical crisis. There is a lot of tensions around the world. How do you think India and EU relations at the moment stand, and how they'll help in securing the security of food and energy supply around the world?
Exactly in this more conflictual geopolitical context, it's important that like-minded partners, democratic countries work together, and EU and India are 2 world's largest democracies. So it's important that we are working together. We see India as a strategic partner, and indeed when we discuss, for example, global food security issues, also in the context of now Russia's weaponization of its of the food supplies and blocking the Ukrainian food exports. We know that the countries which are suffering from this is not only Ukraine, it's also many developing countries for whom it becomes food security and food affordability issue. So we need to work together to seek to address this and ensure both energy and food security across the world.